Just look at that reflection. These are bars of Nordic gold that I've sanded and polished until you can see your reflection in it. Such a deep, warm, near-mirror finish. But it sure didn't start out this way. Here's a freshly cast ingot of Nordic gold. It's rough and its surface is just a landscape of tiny imperfections. If you run your fingers over it, it feels like fine grit sandpaper. There's no shine, no reflection, just a flat, muted yellow. We're about to change that. I'm going to take you through the process of turning this gritty, dull surface into something with a shine so deep it looks like liquid. It's a methodical journey, and honestly, it's one of the most satisfying things you'll ever see. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Bullion. We will explore a wide range of topics related to refining precious metals, from turning electronic waste to liquid gold to the best ways to find silver scrap to melt into silver bars. Ever thought about going to an old gold or silver mine and getting ore worth refining? If so, then you are in the right place. We will plan a few trips to local mines and bring back some ore to process. If this sounds like your kind of jam, then hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you get alerts for our new videos. Our main tool for today's job is this tabletop belt sander. These are fantastic, versatile machines, but they demand respect. Let's talk safety. First, eye protection. Metal particles are about to go flying. A pair of clear shop glasses will do just fine. And second, gloves. They'll protect your hands from sharp edges and, just as important, from the heat. This metal gets hot as the sandpaper grinds it down, and it gets hot fast. Just make sure you're wearing snug-fitting gloves, nothing loose that could get snagged by the belt. Every transformation has to start somewhere, and for this it means we have to get aggressive. This is 40 grit sandpaper, and yeah, it's pretty rough, but that's exactly what we need right now. We're not trying to make it shiny yet. The goal is just to create a uniform canvas by replacing a chaotic texture with a controlled one. Now, the basic technique for every single grit is the absolute key to an even finish. You want light, consistent pressure. Let the sandpaper do the work for you. If you press too hard, you'll gouge the metal, create way too much heat, and you can easily ruin the piece. We're going to constantly move the piece side to side across the belt. If you linger in one spot, you're just asking for an uneven surface. Just listen to that. That's the sound of all those imperfections being stripped away, of the surface being equalized. With every single pass, the bigger hills and valleys from the casting are leveled out. You can see the change almost right away. The dull finish starts giving way to a brighter, though heavily scratched surface. The key here is to sand in circles. This creates a consistent grain, a pattern of fine parallel lines that becomes the foundation for everything else we do. For this stage, I will perform 3 passes for each bar. This is where the majority of the work to remove the imperfection will take place, so 3 passes will work best. The surface is getting smoother, but you can still see the rounded imperfections from the original pour into the ingot mold. 40 grit sandpaper is perfect for sanding the surface down to remove them. Right now, my only goal is to get rid of those initial deep flaws. I'm looking at the surface under a bright light, watching the 40 grit scratch pattern take over all the old marks. I don't care about the new scratches this belt is making. The next step will take care of that. I'm just looking for a uniform surface where every scratch runs the same way. When sanding the sides, it will sand down very fast since there is not as much metal contacting the sandpaper. The real key here is a light touch. Let the abrasive do the work. The biggest mistake people make is pressing too hard. That just generates a ton of heat, clogs up the belt, and creates deep, ugly gouges that are a nightmare to get out later. I'm holding the piece firmly and just introducing it to the belt with gentle, even pressure. You really can't rush this part. Any deep scratch we leave behind now will come back to haunt us in the final polish. It takes patience. We are methodically erasing the bar's past to prepare it for a new identity. The metal starts to warm up a little from the friction, a good sign the transformation is underway. After a few minutes, the whole surface has the same uniform, matte look. It's no longer chaotic, but we are far from finished. This is just step 1. Creating order out of randomness. Now the real refinement can begin. we can still see those deeper imperfections, so a third pass on the 40 grit will be needed. Once we can get down to the bottom level of those deep flaws, we can move on to the next step. This is where patience comes in. Rushing this and leaving even one deep flaw behind means you'll be seeing its ghost all the way to the end. The heavy lifting is done. Now we start smoothing things out. Our next step is a 120 grit belt. This is still a pretty coarse grit, but it's a huge leap up from the 40. Now, a classic mistake people make is skipping grits, jumping from say 40 all the way to 400 to try and save time. It's a total trap. You'll just end up spending way more time on that finer grit, trying to remove scratches that are just too deep for it to handle. You get an awful, inconsistent finish where you can still see those deep 40 grit gouges underneath. So, the job of this 120 grit belt is simple. Remove all the scratches left by the 40 grit. Same technique, light pressure, constant circle motion. You can see the difference immediately. The new, finer scratches are literally erasing the old, deeper ones. I'm just focused on working the entire surface with even pressure until every single one of those horizontal 40 grit lines has disappeared. It's all about patience. If you rush this part, you're just setting yourself up to polish deep scratches later. Okay, it looks like all the 40 grit scratches are gone, replaced by a much finer uniform 120 grit pattern. The surface is already noticeably smoother. It's still a long way from a mirror, but we've made a huge jump. The secret to a true mirror finish isn't some magic trick. It's a patient, step-by-step process. We just created a uniform surface with 120 grit sandpaper, but in doing so, we introduced a whole new field of 120 grit scratches. The only way to get rid of them is to use a finer grit. So now we're moving to 240 grit. We're moving into the medium grit range now with a 240 grit belt. Think of this as a bridge. It's not aggressive enough for heavy lifting, and it's not fine enough for a final polish. Its whole purpose is to efficiently remove those 120 grit scratches and prep the surface for the fine finishing stages that are coming up. The process is identical, but the feel is totally different. It's smooth. You're not really removing material anymore so much as you are burnishing and refining the surface. I'm moving a little more slowly now, making sure my passes are even and overlapping. You can see the Nordic gold transforming with every pass. It's getting brighter, and that golden color is getting deeper and richer. I am sanding the back of this bar because it has a little tailing on its back. Sanding the back of it allows the back to have a nice level flat surface. This will come into play when I want to stamp the bar at a later date. When you are stamping, a flat back surface is crucial to keeping the bar from rocking during your striking. Let's stop and have a look. The surface now has this beautiful, soft, glowing satin finish. If you catch the light just right, you can see the very first hints of a blurry reflection. We've successfully erased all the 120 grit marks and set the stage perfectly for the next big jump. This is where the real magic starts to happen. We're making the next bump up to a 400 grit belt, and now we are firmly in the fine finishing stages. This step is going to buff out the 240 grit scratches and start to pull a true reflective luster out of the metal. From this point on, any scratches you left behind from the coarser grits will become painfully obvious, so it's worth taking one last look to make sure your prep work was solid. From here on out, the changes get a bit more subtle, but honestly, a lot more satisfying. You'll start to see less of a raw scratch pattern and more of a real satin sheen starting to come through. The sound is even changing now. It's less of a grind and more of a high-pitched hiss as the finer abrasive does its work. The pressure is still light, still even. At this stage, you really have to start paying attention to your edges. It's super easy to accidentally round them over if you're not keeping the piece perfectly flat against the plate. Time to switch to the 600 grit belt. This step has one single critical job: to completely erase the 400 grit scratches we just made. The technique is the same: light pressure, constant circular motion. Let the belt work for you. The piece will heat up even faster now since finer grits can create more surface friction, so be religious with your quenching. Sand for a few minutes. When the heat is getting a bit too hot, take it for a dip in a bucket of water. This constant temperature control is what separates an amateur from a professional finish, especially with Nordic gold. My job is to keep making light passes until all that's left is a perfect field of 600 grit scratches. You'll be tempted to move on when it looks mostly gone. Don't. That one leftover 400 grit scratch is now a canyon compared to our new surface. Take your time, use good light pressure, and be thorough. Once you can hold it up and see only a uniform pattern of vertical scratches, you're ready for the next stage. The surface is already starting to get a soft, dull shine, which is a great sign. Now we're at the 800 grit stage, and this is where you'll really start to see a beautiful finish emerge. The scratches we're making now are so fine that the surface will go from being just textured to having a gorgeous, smooth satin sheen. The pressure here gets even lighter. It should feel like you're just skimming the surface. You're not trying to remove material anymore. You're just swapping out 600 grit scratches for much finer 800 grit scratches. It's all refinement from here on out. Even the sound will change, from a grinding noise to a smoother, higher-pitched hiss. Heat management is everything now. The metal gets hot almost instantly. My quench cycle is getting faster, maybe 2 minutes of sanding, then a quick dip. This isn't just to protect the metal from discoloration, it's to protect my fingers and maintain my grip. If a piece is too hot to hold, you can't control it accurately. Let's take a look. Wow. Okay, now we're talking. The scratch pattern is almost invisible to the naked eye. We've got a bright, highly reflective surface. It's not a perfect mirror yet, the reflection is still a little fuzzy, but it's a beautiful high satin finish. Honestly, for a lot of projects, this would be a stunning place to stop. But we're not stopping. We're chasing that mirror. Taking a peek, you can see it starting to reflect a little in a soft, diffused way. Every single one of those vertical 600 grit scratches has to be gone. We want an unbroken, uniform field of horizontal 800 grit scratches. The surface should feel silky smooth. This is where the true color and beauty of the Nordic gold really start to pop. It should look clean and intentional, like a high-end watch band. That extra minute you spend here getting it perfect will pay off big time. This is it, the final sanding step, 1000 grit. This is ultra-fine territory. Its only job is to smooth the surface so much that the remaining scratches are nearly microscopic. This is the last stop on the belt sander before we move on to a buffing wheel with polishing compounds for a true flawless mirror. The pressure here is feather-like. I mean, you are barely touching the metal to the belt. You are just gently whispering away the 800 grit pattern. If you press hard now, you'll just put in new, deep scratches and undo all that hard work. It's almost silent. Just the whir of the motor and the soft hiss of the belt. I'm taking my time, letting the abrasive do its thing, polishing the surface with finesse, not force. And that should do it. The result is a brilliant near mirror shine. The reflections are crisp, they're clear. That warm golden color of the Nordic gold is just popping. It's a finish that has real depth and clarity. We are finished sanding with 1000 grit sandpaper. This is the last prep stage before we start polishing. The surface is incredibly smooth with a soft, satin-like glow. But that's still not the mirror we're after. Sanding can only get you so far. To get that deep liquid shine, we have to head over to the buffing wheel. All right, now things really starting to speed up. We're moving from sanding to actual polishing. This is a buffing wheel, and this is our first compound, black emery. It's one of the more aggressive first-cut polishing compounds, full of minerals that give it a strong cutting action. Its job is to power through those ultrafine 1000 grit scratches and begin to truly smooth the surface of the metal. First, you apply the compound to the spinning wheel. A light touch is all it takes. The friction melts the wax and transfers the abrasive onto the cotton buff. It's also incredibly important to use a different wheel for each compound. If you cross-contaminate them, you'll ruin a perfect finish in seconds. Now we bring the bar to the wheel. The sound is a powerful, satisfying hum. You have to keep the metal moving, never letting it sit in one spot for too long. The friction builds heat fast, and too much heat can discolor our copper-based alloy. You'll see this black residue building up on the metal. That's how you know the compound is doing its job, removing a microscopic layer of the surface and blending away the last of the sanding marks. The process is mesmerizing to watch. The satin finish is instantly transformed into something with real depth. And there it is, our first real glimpse of a mirror. The reflection is sharp, no longer just a blurry suggestion. The reflection is sharp. You can see the details of the room, but it's a dark, slightly hazy reflection, almost like a black mirror. The black emery has done its cutting job, but now we need to bring out the real color and clarity. The foundation of the mirror is there, but now we have to refine it. For our next step, we'll use a new, clean buffing wheel and our second compound, white polish. This compound is much less aggressive than the black one. It's designed to both cut and color, and it works especially well on softer alloys like brass, copper, and our Nordic gold. Its purpose is to remove the haze from the black compound while starting to bring out the metal's true shine. The process is the same. A light touch of compound on the wheel, then bring the bar to the buff. The feeling is different now, smoother, more like gliding. The sound is less aggressive, just a consistent high-speed whir. We're not removing as much material anymore. We're truly polishing now, burnishing the surface to a higher and higher shine. Once again, after covering the whole surface, we wipe away the residue, and the difference is huge. The dark, hazy reflection is gone, replaced by a bright, clear shine. The warm, golden color of the Nordic gold is finally bursting to life. It's brilliant. The surface is so reflective it's almost hard to look at in the light. But we're not done yet. We can take it even further. For the final stage, we bring in yet another clean wheel and a purple polishing compound. This compound is famous for creating a brilliant high luster finish on all sorts of metals, both hard and soft. It's the perfect final step for our Nordic gold. The process is repeated, but the touch is even lighter now. We are barely applying any pressure, letting the compound and the speed of the wheel do all the work. To put it metaphorically, we're essentially burnishing the surface at a microscopic level, smoothing it so perfectly that it reflects light with near-perfect clarity. We are chasing that ultimate level of shine, one so deep it feels like you could dip your fingers right into it. And after a final cleanup to get rid of that purple compound, the result is just breathtaking. The bar of metal no longer looks solid. It looks like it's made of liquid light. The surface holds a perfect, undistorted reflection. Every detail of the workshop is mirrored on its face with incredible clarity. It is transformed from an object that absorbed light to one that perfectly returns it. This moment is what all that work was for. The culmination of every single step, from the coarse 40 grit sandpaper to the final gentle kiss of the purple compound. Every stage was a necessary chapter in this story. The initial aggressive shaping, the methodical refinement of scratches, the powerful first cut, and the final burnishing of the luster. To see the dull, lifeless bar from the beginning now gleaming with such impossible brilliance is a testament to the process. We've taken it on a journey from chaos to order, from dull to vibrant. The transformation is complete. From a rough, gritty block to a flawless liquid shine. That's the hypnotic journey of metal polishing. It's slow, it takes patience, but that result, that perfect mirror finish, is one of the most satisfying things in the world. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this one. If you enjoyed this detailed breakdown and want to see more metal finishing and fabrication videos, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next video. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions or any ideas for another video you would like to see. I'd love to hear your opinions. Until next time, have fun crafting and making things.